County St. John Planning Commission study session for May 1st, 2024. I would start by inviting all that can stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With the roll call, please.
Justin Nestor.
Present.
Pete Kildaris.
Present.
Russ Vogel.
Here.
John Gill, here. Bob Valoy.
Here.
Joe Gomez-Stagel.
Here.
Town Engineer John Dykstra.
Here.
Town Attorney Adam Decker.
Here.
Town Manager Bill Manasopoulos.
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you. I'm just going to start. We have a new member in the Planning Commission. Russ, I'd like to introduce you. Do you want to introduce yourself, say anything, or?
Well, I'm Russell Vogel. I work for the town of St. John for roughly about 4 to 5 years now. I do all the meters in town, and I'm just happy to be here with you guys.
Thanks. Item 3, old and new business. Item A, 2024-06 Franciscan Alliance, the proposed preliminary plat for the Franciscan Health St. John Medical Center. We were informed they're still going back and forth with some engineering things. Mr. Dykstra?
Yes, we received some more information from the applicant's engineer just recently. The survey's been looked at, but we haven't been able to review the rest of it yet. So,
Okay.
but we anticipate that in the days ahead, yes.
So nothing else to bring up at this point?
No.
Okay. Item B, 2024-02 Suncrest Christian Church, proposed rezone from R2 PUD, single-family residential, to C2 Highway Commercial District. Anyone here on behalf of that project?
I can be. I'm Doug from DVG. I thought Nate was going to be here tonight, but he may have had another commitment. But yeah, we're out here they want to rezone that portion, about 4.7 acres, to C3 for potential retail center. And then the balance of the property will be for the future church.
I think they had this notice for a hearing, but then,
There was an issue with
The
one of the
notice, right?
newspaper ads. Yep. So we're basically redoing that.
you know when they're going to be back for that?
Well, I'm quite sure it'll be 2 weeks.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item C, 2024-07, The Grove, proposed rezone to PUD for proposed mixed-use development of single-family, multifamily homes, 8408 West 101st, Oltoff.
All right, good evening. Kevin Pascal, Oltoff Homes, 8051 Wicker Avenue, St. John, Indiana. Here tonight for our 4th PUD rezone meeting for The Grove, our new residential project. Last appeared at the April 17th meeting to report on minor changes we had made following our April 3rd meeting, and to request to advertise for a public hearing on May 15th. We did receive permission to advertise, so we move forward with our public notice requirements, and I'll go ahead and speak to that at the end. I'll begin with changes since the last meeting. So next slide. So we did receive a comment about density from Justin and a resident, so we decided to go back and make some changes to our lot layout. So we ended up shifting the single-family lots on the south side once again to better accommodate the density and lot size concerns, as well as to establish a better transition in lot sizes. So we've made all the outer lots on the south and west sides 80 foot wide. And then the majority of the interior sections just north of those border lots are now 75 foot wide instead of a mix of 70s and 75s. We do still have one mixed section that has 60, 70, and 75s in it that act kind of as a transition between the 60-foot section and then the remainder of the single-family lots. With that section, it was a bit disjointed on the last layout, so we smoothed that out to have a handful of 60s, handful of 70s, and then mostly 75s as it moves from north to south. And in totality, we did increase the lot sizes for almost every single-family lot on that south half. We also eliminated a section of paired cottage lots where we had that turnaround area and replaced it with a larger detention pond and another open space. So that's also allowed the detention on the north side to shrink a bit and be split into 2 smaller ponds instead of 1 large pond. So in terms of the lot breakdown, we now have 27 single-family lots at 80 by 130, 36 single-family lots at 75 by 130, 7 single-family lots at 7 by 130, 69 single-family lots at 60 by 130, and 82 paired cottage lots, or 164 units at 90 by 130. And the difference between the two plans being the addition of 27 80-foot lots, which led to 23 less 75-foot lots, 3 less 70-foot lots, and then 6 less paired cottage lots, or 12 less units, as well as an additional green space area where the paired cottage lots were eliminated. So overall, we reduced the unit count from 320 units down to 303 units, or 17 less units. Next slide. So an aspect I failed to mention that we have updated previously was the entrance monuments that we proposed to install. So the old design, which is on the bottom, was more of a kind of a minimalist or a simplified design in its features. So our marketing department went in a different direction for their redesign. So the new design, which is on top, is now more in line with our entrance monuments that we have now. So the main sign is mostly masonry with trellis around it and then plantings growing around that. And this one will be sited at the 101st entrance, so our main entrance. And then the secondary sign is mostly the trellis design with a sign roughly centered on there. And that will be sited at the 96th entrance, or our secondary entrance. And those will be owned and maintained by the HOA. Next slide. So now shifting gears to the amenities for the project. We did make adjustments to these as well since the last meeting. So we detailed out the 2 amenity areas we're offering at this time, as well as added a few features to the walking trail. So for the trail itself, as I've previously stated, it will be an 8-foot wide paved walking path, which is still roughly 1.3 miles in length, that runs along the detention ponds in the north and then snakes its way along the ditch line and the frontage of 101st, with it ultimately stubbing out to the parcels in the east. We've also added a series of 5 fitness stations along the trail that people can use to get a more comprehensive workout in addition to walking the trail if they prefer to do that. We've previously installed these at our Canyon Creek subdivision in Schererville and Clover Grove in Winfield, and we do believe that that's a feature that residents seem to enjoy and use pretty frequently. There will also be 2 trailhead markers, one at the central entrance and then one right near 101st, that will serve as a landmark of sorts to denote being on the trail. So the trailhead itself would be a small pier structure with landscaping around it to create kind of a nice welcoming atmosphere as someone's entering the trail. I've included a rendering of that for reference, although the actual structure would more closely resemble the style and design of our entrance monuments. So that central trailhead entrance, which is pictured just below the text here, will be more heavily landscaped to create separation between the path entrance and then the adjacent lots on either side of it. And we did end up eliminating 2 lots in that area to create a larger gap for the path and the side yard as well. And then that offshoot there did line up very well with an existing ditch crossing that the farm equipment currently drives over. So we're going to use that as our trail crossing to get to the west side amenities. So luckily, that will save us a lot of time and effort when it comes to permitting, since one won't be required to make that crossing due to it being above the wetland area and then having no impacts on the wetland itself. So from that, trail crossing leads to a central area where residents can access the amenities to the west. And then this trail will be owned and maintained by the HOA. Next slide. All right, and then diving a bit more in depth on the park areas themselves. As I mentioned, we've now got 2 areas with amenities, one on the area west of the ditch, which are on the bottom of the slide, and then one in the paired cottage section, which is on the top of the slide. So for the area west of the ditch, we're showing a central turnaround area with some landscaping that has offshoots to the north and the south to the amenities in this section. And then on the south, there's a larger playground area with several different features, as well as some benches and landscaping in that area. And then on the north side, there's a larger open space / dog park area where we're hoping to use a combination of the existing trees and plantings that are there, as well as new plantings to create a natural fenced-in environment on 2 sides, and then installing a fence on the open sides to create more of an enclosed space. We did plot the approximate location of the well on our preliminary engineering plans, and we're staying quite a distance away from that, from the wellhead protection radius with these amenities. And then for the the paired cottage area, we're showing a pickleball court with some seating and landscaping around it with another open grass area adjacent to that. Pickleball courts are obviously a hot commodity right now, so we figured we may as well put one in there. It'd be a great place for it. And we also did think it was important to have an additional open space in this vicinity to kind of break things up a bit and then offer a different kind of amenity there. So then all park and open space will be owned and maintained by the HOA. Next slide. And then last but not least for amenities, we've got the landscape buffers, which are shown along the northeastern frontage where the future Klein Avenue is shown, and then the area that fronts onto 101st and the entrance to the subdivision. We really like to have these to create separation between rear yards and roads or pathways for privacy reasons. And these would be comprised just of standard turf grass with a variety of shrubs and trees to provide coverage. And those will also be owned and maintained by the HOA. Next slide. So for the well site, there's not too much to report at this time. I'd mentioned at the last meeting that the drilling and pumping were taking place and finished at the end of that week. And I checked with Bob on Monday, and they're just waiting to get water quality results back from the test pumping, so we're kind of in a holding pattern at the moment. Next slide. And then returning now to the public notice. So both print notices ran in their respective papers, April 19th for the Post-Tribune and April 22nd for the Northwest Indiana Times, and the affidavits have been provided to staff. Certified mailers were dropped off at the post office on April 19th as well and sent out in the following days. Receipts were provided to staff along with the certified list of adjacent property owners from the Lake County Auditor's Office. And then I've also been dropping off the signed green cards as well. And the public notice sign was posted on the property last Thursday, the 25th. So all that being said, we do believe we've met the notice requirements for our hearing in 2 weeks. And with that, I'd be glad to take any questions or comments that you may have.
Questions, comments?
So as far as the structure of the house, are we gonna have vinyl siding, or is it gonna be like a LP? Where are we going for that?
Well, typically our standard offering is vinyl siding, but we do have options to upgrade to LP or hardy board. And also a wider range of colors as well with that.
Okay. And as far as like brick, are we going higher on them, or are we keeping it low? Because,
So
you know, if you look at the gates, you see a lot of it is a higher up brick
Right.
than a lower brick. And also windows, I mean, they do a lot of the different style windows in garages as far as there's not a plain side of the house.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if we need to accommodate having windows on every side, that's certainly something common that we have to address in other municipalities, so we could certainly make that work. For garage doors, we also have options to have different styles of windows on there as well. I think we've got at least a handful of different designs that can be selected for that. And then in terms of masonry, we do offer standard as a knee wall, either as a brick style or kind of an offset masonry.
And that's just for the front?
Correct, front facade, yep.
I know we had, I believe it was Streamside. It is, that we had Mr. Yatsko in here, and we did ask or request the higher amenities when it came to the LP sidings and windows on, not just the fronts, but on the sides.
Right.
And I think we'd probably be looking for the same type of situation in this area as well.
Yeah.
I'll echo that. Just thank you for reworking the plan a little bit for my concerns. You know, the density issue, I like that there's more open space. I think it flows a little bit better. So for, you know, as far as addressing those concerns, again, thank you. But to the, you know, the comments that these guys have made, that, I mean, I got a text from somebody who got one of the letters, who lives on the north side of the gates, and he says, is it going to look like my house with some of the higher end finishes and things like that? And I think that that's probably the last, you know, one of the last barriers that I see to, not barrier, I shouldn't say barrier, but concerns that I would have as far as this project is making it look as nice as the rest of the neighborhood. I mean, you have the gates up there with the nice houses, Renaissance to the west, North Gate, all that. I think that you know, it should mirror that type of product that's out there.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with all of them. I think if you kind of mirror the stream side requirements, I think that'd do really well in this development as well.
Okay. Yeah, I can certainly take that back, and we'll discuss that and report in 2 weeks.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Kevin, the park that you added, is that an all-inclusive park for kids with disabilities and everything else? Or is it just your standard?
I mean, just at this stage, this conceptual rendering is just kind of a, more of a traditional park, but if we need to look into adding things like that, we can certainly,
Just because
Discuss that.
I saw you added the pickleball courts, which is great, and I know it's a hot thing right now.
Yep.
But the town is also building 8 or 10 courts
Just across the road.
just across it in the gates.
Gates Park, yep.
So if those funds can be used more towards the park amenities for kids, that are all inclusive, so Tommy's not playing on thing while his little sister's sitting on the side watching.
Right. Yeah.
That's something you can keep in mind.
Yeah, we can certainly look into that, sure.
Or on that, Billy, what about as far as like a soft play surface? I mean, getting away from the wood chip stuff would probably do a lot for
So I
it.
think as far as being all-inclusive,
Okay.
that would be something that they could look into.
Yep, yeah. We'll take note of that.
I do like the open space offerings in there though too.
Mhm.
That we can work with, that look at different options.
Yeah, I really like what you've done with the open space on this. I think it's a very, provides some nice amenities.
Yeah, thank you.
I think will be very much appreciated.
Anything else?
Nope, good job, Kevin. You're
Okay.
doing good.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Item D, 2024-11, White Oak subdivision, proposed rezone from R1 Single Family Residential to RC2 PUD. LBL Development.
Hello, everyone. This is the first item on the agenda for us is the 40 acres at the northwest corner of White Oak and 109th. This project has a little bit of history behind it. Back in 2019, this was annexed into town. It had a zoning attached to it. There actually was a subdivision plan that went along with it. So turn forward the clock now. This is simply to ask to restore that previous zoning. So that's actually what we're here for on that piece of property right there. All single-family homes. Basically the same thing that was previously approved by the town. So I remember when it was brought in, and we understand that there's going to be improvements to White Oak. There's going to be improvements to, there's a traffic circle there, property, all those kind of things. We definitely understand and know that those type of things are coming. Again, all single-family homes. So this is basically a request just to restore that zoning that previously existed to build the single-family homes there. And if you have any more specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them. This had been in front of the Plan Commission many, many times in the past. I know we have quite a few new members here. Bob probably remembers it. Do you remember that at all? John probably knows, but
I think vaguely I remember.
it's like, yeah, but it was, we're asking for the same basic density as R2. It would be not to exceed 116 units. Obviously, the number will go down. That would be the request, but that certainly is not what would be built. So that would just match the theoretical density of R2 is what the request is. So
Compare with any other projects like in that area as far as the R2 density.
that's exactly what was just approved on the cross street, Justin, so. It's the exact same zoning that was approved there. And we would be prepared to grant any right-of-way and everything that would be needed. We're pretty well-versed with what's going to be required and what the future will bring in that area.
Okay, any questions, comments? Has this already been noticed?
Yes, sir.
There being nothing else, I guess we'll see you in 2 weeks. Item E, 2024-12, Gates of St. John, Units 29, 30, and 31, proposed rezone from C2 Highway Commercial District to PUD, Plan Unit Development, LBL Development.
Okay, this one is a little bit more involved. This is located at the southeast corner of 231 in Parish, directly across the street from Family Express, north of Mill Creek, south of the commercial where the bank's at. They just built a new commercial building. All of it's built out there. And this is basically that frontage on 231, that half mile of frontage that you see. The drawing that's in front of you, and I don't know if you can go to that drawing or not.
It's marked as Exhibit B, it's that one.
It would be the color one, probably, the draft. There you go. There is going to be a roundabout at Parish and 231. We do know this. We have met with NDOT and NIPSCO. You'll notice that NIPSCO's in the process of relocating the poles right now. So the thought is make sure they're in the right place. So there will be a rather large taking there. They're taking the roundabout and they're actually moving it to the southeast and offsetting it just a little bit. And the project will be let next year with construction starting in '26. We show a roundabout at the intersection of Park Place and 231. That originally was supposed to be a traffic signal. We're assuming that since NDOT's putting a roundabout at Klein and a roundabout at Parish, at some point, they're going to approve a roundabout at that location instead of a traffic signal, but ultimately, that's going to be up to the State Highway Department. So NDOT's going to have to go ahead and make that call. We do know that there's going to be XL decel lanes all up and down Parish. There likely will be a continuous acceleration deceleration lane on 231. NDOT's requirements based on the speed of that road. We actually asked them to just put another lane of traffic in as part of their project because it's almost going to necessitate that. It's a half mile long. So the entrances that we would even be requesting on 231 would be right in, right out. There would be no full access entrances. You already have a light at Parish, and then obviously you have Park Place. We're hoping that the State Highway Department will allow some traffic control improvement to go in there. Been asking for it for about 20 years, and NDOT doesn't build things prospectively, unfortunately. They wait and build them retrospectively. So, but that's fine. That's just what the requirement is. There's two components to this project, minus the exterior that has to be done. We are showing commercial, obviously, in the frontage along 231. We're guessing we're going to get about 130,000 square foot of commercial development up there. The portion between Mill Creek and the commercial, we're showing townhome buildings, 2 stories only, wider units, all hardy board, no siding, all upgraded, fences in the front yards, black little fences, sidewalks surrounding it, walkability to the actual commercial development that's going to occur. You'll see that there's a road between the commercial and the residential. That road is in effect a 4-lane road. There is 10 by 20 parking stalls on the south side, so that's 20 feet. There's going to be 2 12-foot lanes, then another 10 by 20 perpendicular parking on the north. That actually ended up being almost like an 80-foot right-of-way there because it's going to be the equivalent of over 4 lanes of traffic, 2 for parking, then 2 through. All of that is going to be used to service primarily the commercial. As you can see, based on the rendering, we're planning on a lot of parking. The one thing that happens when you try to create like a downtown feel, like we're doing with all the, we're showing outside seating and things like that, is that every downtown area, St. John doesn't have one. Everybody's been asking for a little downtown area since I was a kid here. And this is our chance to actually build it, but build it with enough parking that it can actually be serviced correctly. And people can actually enjoy it, not only walkability-wise, but also anybody that wanted to go there and just drive there, ride a bike or whatever. The kind of unique feature about the commercial is in our PUD documents, we are giving the town council for 10 years complete use and architectural control of all the buildings. They won't be built unless they're approved by the town council specifically. So we're actually giving the town complete control. We will hold the property, do what we have to do to honor that commitment, and we're prepared to do that. We know that the everybody wants restaurants. Our primary goal will be to place restaurants here. The town in the documents has the option. I know everybody's asked a lot for, hey, can we do maybe a little bit of residential above the commercial? Not sure. I mean, I know they're going to give that a whirl in the Commons there, but we're going to see. We allow for that as an option for the town over all the commercial buildings with the exception of the restaurants. It's very difficult to put residential above restaurants with hood systems and everything. It's just never a good idea. So that, again, is all the option of the town council. They will have complete control over that. So if you're wondering why I put, well, site plan will be at plating and landscape, because the town council gets to decide all that. So the hope is we can anchor this with some really nice restaurants. The walkability is there. We have the residential component there. We have received some interest already, obviously, from different, commercial users and primarily restaurants, because we have been told that's the goal. So we've relinquished control of all that to the town council.
How does
So
it align with the town's comprehensive plan?
This is, the last three that I know I've been involved with have contemplated something like this. We've been looking for a downtown, a place that you can actually look at and say, okay, here's a little downtown area where you actually have your outside seating and you actually have double frontage businesses here. Each of these buildings will look like the front of the building. So the view you get from 231 is the view you're going to get from, we haven't even named the road yet, but is the view you're going to get from the back. So people are not going to feel like they're sitting behind a building. They're going to feel like they're sitting in the front of the building, which is why we have the parking there as well. So in essence, we're looking at trying to create the downtown that we've never had here in St. John.
Anyone have questions, comments?
It's my first time seeing it, so it's a lot.
Yeah, it's ambitious.
It's very ambitious, and that's why we're giving the town complete control over it. Because you can't build something like this the town has to be involved in the process. It's a lot of commercial. We want to make sure that these buildings are exactly the type of architecture that everybody's looking for. We're not exactly sure what that is, so, working with Billy and just talking him through this stuff, that's why this stuff ended up with the docks. And we figured, okay, the best way to do this is for a decade, give the town the ability to pick what they want. So that way, when everybody says, well, we would like this restaurant, we would like this use, the town has the opportunity now to pick that. It's not going to be up to the developer, it will be up to the community.
I mean, that's going to frame out what happens along that corridor for forever. And what comes after, too, right?
And I mean, if somebody comes, farther down on that corridor, if we're hoping that there's going to be a very successful partnership here with the community and that, users will embrace that. So, hopefully that will follow suit as you go towards Klein Avenue too. Because I know Mr. Schilling obviously owns that property on the other side of Park Place there. So we're actually hoping this is the start of some real good partnership where the town actually gets a say in what is built in the town. It's just not up to the landowner any longer.
Isn't it contemplated there's a shilling project to the east of Mill Creek over there, between there and Klein?
That is correct. There eventually will. Mr. Schilling does own that property. Now, exactly what his plans are, I cannot tell you. I don't know.
I think they've been up on a,
Yeah, that was Calistoga.
Yeah.
That was before us before.
yeah. Okay.
So that's kind of the project in a nutshell. That's why we've got the guidelines with it. You have the covenants in front of you for the residential. You have the zoning commitments. You have everything that the town would need to exercise control over the project. I know it's a lot, but it's kind of ambitious. We understand that. Every time I look at this plan, I think it's ambitious. But if you don't, what's attracting some of the commercial users, to be honest with you, is that you have the entire Gates of St. John subdivision. You have Mill Creek. Now you're going to have a captive residential audience that can walk right across the street. The commercial guys like that. They need that type of residential component to obviously make a go at it. They're going to invest a lot of money here. The town's going to want really nice buildings. They're going to want higher end. We know they're going to want higher end users, and so you have to have the clientele to service them.
My kids can only ride their bike to the subway down there.
Well, and
That's all we got.
well, exactly, and I know that the town is contemplating approving a golf cart ordinance as well. That's just another thing that'll allow a little bit of access here, because nobody's gonna go here if they're driving through. You're not just gonna get stopped at each road. If you're just driving through town, you're gonna stay on 231. You're gonna have to have a reason to be back here. You're just not gonna veer off and not be able to get back onto 231 for no reason. So it's definitely not designed as a cut-through street, and it's specifically not for that. And with the addition of the roundabout, that's gonna help traffic flow as well. And so all this is gonna be going on at once, and I know it's gonna cause a little bit of congestion there when that starts. Like I said, I've seen the design, but it is needed.
And I should clarify, when I said ambitious, I did not mean that as a bad thing.
No, and I didn't take it that way, just so you know, but,
No,
yeah,
there's a lot of my own personal, wishes that I like to see in new developments, especially new suburban and rural, where, emphasizing walkability, emphasizing places to do things rather than just live at, and ways of getting there. So, yeah, I'm very familiar with the area. Both my kids are in the daycare that's just around the corner.
oh,
Yeah.
outside seating is going to be a must. That's why we're showing it in our renderings. Outside, I mean, that's kind of what you need. It helps build the character of it all and everything. I mean, everybody that puts outside seating in now, people are starting to really take advantage of that, where 20 years ago, they never really did.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
Everything comes up, just shoot me emails or questions or give me a buzz, then be ready for it.
Where are you at in the process of,
I'll be seeing you next week, or 2 weeks.
it is noticed for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just for the zoning. Obviously, the approvals of this, the town council has to sign off on anything before we're even gonna walk in the door with that. Because it's gonna be a building the town wants. It's gonna be a use they want. It's gonna be a restaurant they want, or some other commercial use. I mean, you're not gonna fill up 130,000 square foot with restaurants, but you certainly can have more than one, a couple of them. So, it's programmed in here. And quite frankly, like to see it. Been waiting for it forever, everybody in town.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Item F, 2024-13, Community Foundation Edition, proposed site plan amendment to add 36 parking spaces to the northeast corner of the existing parking lot at 9660 US Route 41, St. John, Indiana. Turinga Engineering, Munster Medical Research.
Good evening. My name is Don Toringa. I'm with Toringa Engineering, 907 Ridge Road. I'm here tonight representing Community Foundation. Brian Sluter of Community Foundation is also here if you have questions for him. Anyway, I have egg on my face because the fact of the matter is what you have up on the screen is not what Community Foundation actually wants to do. If I could approach the board, I would like to give you a drawing to show what is actually going on. Is that okay?
Sure, please.
Thank you.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
originally, when I was contacted by Mr. Sluter and Mr. Oddie of Community Foundation, I misunderstood what they wanted to do, and what you see up there on the screen is an addition to the parking lot, which is on the west side of the St. John Outpatient Center, or actually the Indianapolis Boulevard side. And what they really were asking me to do was to put it on the west side. So that's the change. It's basically the same type of parking setup, only it's on the other side of that parking lot. With that, everything you see on the drawing, the first page is a large-scale drawing of it. The second page is a blow-up. On that drawing, you see some dashed lines. Those represent existing curbs, so there will need to be some curb taken out and some new islands put in. Ultimately, there will be 33 new parking spaces if this is allowed. With that, I don't have much more to say.
Mr. Dykstra, we have any engineering concerns with that, or?
No, there's been no engineering submitted, so, yet, but, it doesn't look complicated to me at all. I would assume, Don and his team will, shift the drainage to pick up this new area and bring it to the
That is correct.
existing inlets that are probably already out there in the older portion of the parking lot, and add anything that might be needed. That would be what I would suspect, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
And I apologize, I'm getting over a cold.
It's that time of the year. Anybody else, questions, concerns?
Just for my own edification, what is the reasoning behind the more 33 more spaces? Are they just packed all the time, or?
That's why Mr. Sluter's here. I don't know.
Brian Sluter with Community Foundation of Northwest Indiana. We just have an increase of business, increase of patients, and it's mostly employees. The north end is mainly used for employee parking, and we have grown the services inside the building slightly, and we just have an increase of employee parking, so we need more space. So the building hasn't grown, but we've just packed more people inside, and we need more space to park.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay to keep that? Yes. Okay. Thanks, Don.
Item G, Providence Bank
Oh, that's
subdivision,
fine.
Lot
Thank
2,
you.
proposed re-subdivision of Providence Bank subdivision, Lot 2, for 2 commercial lot subdivision at Calumet Avenue, Dyer, Indiana. Mr. Reddick?
Good evening, Doug Reddick with DVG, representing the landowner, Schneaps LLC. Those gentlemen were not able to come tonight, but they already own this property. It's currently known as Lot 2 of Providence Bank subdivision. The bank is at the very north, at the site there at the corner of Calumet and 101st?
Yep.
Yep. And so it was a 2-lot subdivision that was created when the bank went in, and this was a large remainder of the land and platted as Lot 2. We presented a different plan here some time ago, which that did not work out, but what they're looking to do right now is create a 2-lot subdivision, one for a small office-type building just south of the bank, and then the remainder will be for future use, and they're exploring options for that. But they do have somebody who is interested in taking that north part, which we're going to call Lot 1 of this re-subdivision, and we wanted to present this tonight to get your feel on how you would be okay with it, because we're going to need to add another driveway on Calumet Avenue if we go with this plan. Of course, the bank already has their driveway as shown on the drawing there. Our newer project, St. John Commons, is immediately east across the street, And we show where that driveway is right there, and we definitely will have another driveway lining up with that for that future lot too. But we want independent access for this lot. We understand there'll be some curbing and decel lanes that would need to be constructed, but we really just want to get the feeling from the Plan Commission how you would feel about a two-lot subdivision here with an independent site there with its independent access to Calumet Avenue. And if that is favorable, then we'll pursue final engineering for a two-lot subdivision.
Is that all C2 through there anyway? Is that C2 in that area anyway?
Yes. I don't think we'll need to rezone.
You have questions, comments?
I think as long as he has the XL decel lanes in order.
Right.
It's not gonna affect traffic, obviously.
The lane that's shown on there is going to be built very soon as part of the St. John Commons project. We would just have to do some additional work at the north end there and extend that lane.
Anyone else?
Greystone's right to the south of that, right?
That's correct.
Are we still gonna do,
The cul-de-sac?
yes,
Eventually. The problem is that doesn't meet any of the zoning requirements, and we don't want to do a PUD for this project. So we may have to come in as a separate project and ask for the variances that we need to mimic what we did on the east side.
Okay.
Very similar, two little cottage homes is all we get. But we would all like to, I think, terminate that dead end with the cul-de-sac. It's never going to go through because of all the easements there, the pipeline,
Right.
fiber optic lines. It doesn't make sense to push that road through. So we definitely want to do that, but it's going to be down the road a little bit. If you recall, St. John Commons was a PUD, and we were able to incorporate it at that time. So nobody has any real heartburn over it? It's good.
I guess we'll see you back in 2 weeks then.
Probably not. We got to do some engineering still
No? Okay.
before we come back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item H, Castle Rock Phase 1A, continued discussion for subdivision.
Once again, Doug Reddick, DVG, representing Andy James, Hams Lake Development with Castle Rock Phase 1A. Andy's developed Castle Rock Phase 1 and Phase 2 over the recent years. He still owns quite a bit of land to the north, but this portion, the street's already there, so we're not looking to actually add any street. We have a wetland issue on the west side, right where that curve is, which is now resolved. So he feels it's time to put in 5 more lots along the existing street, which is called Manor House Drive. They're big lots. They far exceed the town requirements, and he already has people chomping at the bit to buy these lots. So he wants me to try to get this through as fast as we can. One thing that's unusual here is we do have a large diameter storm sewer which cuts through lots 4 and 5, I believe it is. And those lots are, those are lots 1 and 2, and that's why there's kind of an unusual geometry there. But we just finally got concurrence on the wetlands that they're not jurisdictional, and basically he could, because of these new rules and everything, that he could basically fill in those wetlands that are on these lots. So the plan is simply just to plat the 5 lots and create it. Since it's adjacent to Phase 1 of Castle Rock, we're going to call it Castle Rock Phase 1A. He has plans to do more, Phase 3, which is kind of shown off to the bottom. Yeah, we're going to put a road there eventually, off that street stub that's there, but that's future, and that'll be Phase 3. That'll take new improvements and new roadways. But here, the road is there. A lot of the sewer and water stubs are already in place. We just weren't sure how many lots we were going to get in here when we put the road in. He's got to add a couple stubs is all. So, and John, we will probably be asking for a waiver on stormwater detention. So I want to bring that to your attention as well. He owns all the land in this. There's a big pipeline. You can see the pipeline easement there. He wants to plat the lots and ask for a waiver on the detention, if you guys will consider that.
How big is that utility easement where that storm line runs?
20 feet, it says.
20? Okay.
It's, I would say it scales to about 20 feet, yep.
Okay.
It's a 48-inch pipe in there, I believe.
Anyone else, questions? Okay,
Thank you.
you back.
He's back.
That's all for old and new business. Item 4, adjournment. Would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. Valoy, second by Mr. Gomestagel. All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.